Fans of Shadow the Hedgehog, this video is for you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And before we get started on the drawing, I would simply like to say that whenever a movie such as Sonic the Hedgehog 3 comes out, I like to do a series of videos drawing the main characters from that. So basically what I'm trying to tell you real quick is this video is only a shadow of things to come. I'm sorry for imposing my dad jokes that only I think is funny and nobody else likes on you. It's just that I tend to like to tell a lot of jokes even when they're not funny, and I tend to force that on people. So I'm really sorry. Please don't hate me. Anyway, I'm only telling you this as kind of a foreshadow. Just put on the video because I'm boring these people. So sometimes I go days, if not even weeks. I plan to draw to one of these characters, do a drawing tutorial, but I just don't get around to it for like a long time. And then when I finally do, everything just flows, and it's finally why did I waste all that time? So basically, what I like to say is the hardest part is getting started. And basically, I say all that to say the same thing applies here. Because when you're drawing these Sonic characters, it's not like a regular face where you can just draw a face shape and then add in all of the regular details, unless, of course, you can. But me personally, I have to start with the eyes, which thankfully is an easy shape to draw out. I have to start inside and draw outside because the shapes are pretty complicated. They aren't like clear lines, especially with the live action ones. The cartoons, still basically the same thing, but they have more fine lines. They don't this one has highlights. You can't exactly tell where the line actually is because there is no line. It's live action. So yeah, this takes a little bit more effort, but luckily I can cut out a lot of stuff when I'm editing this. So sometimes when you see these drawings, I drew the same thing like a certain part. I drew it like 4 or 5 times and just kept erasing it, but luckily I'm able to cut all of that out and just get to what really matters. But yeah, it's pretty difficult sometimes trying to figure out where these certain parts are of these characters, because you basically just gotta kind of figure it all out on your own. But again, the hardest part is getting started. Once you start to draw out the face and stuff, then everything pretty much flows. Also, the hardest part is like the first part, as I say in pretty much all of my videos. I basically say it for those of you who are new, who don't watch like all of my videos. I break my drawings down into 3 parts. One is the sketching part where I'm sketching out stuff, but I'm just being like real quick with it, or I'm basically just setting down like a base layer, like building a house. You first set down the base layer, and the second part is basically going over all that, making it look professional. And the third part, which is optional, is if you want to shade it, which takes a long time, and this time it took even longer. Like whenever I draw characters that are like colorful, like if I was drawing Sonic right now, it wouldn't be so bad because his fur is blue. So when I turn it to black and white, as I do when I'm ready to shade my drawings, I turn the reference photo to black and white. It's not bad because it basically just turns it to like gray, and I'm able to basically go light with the lines and just blend in the shading. Now, characters that are in color black, that's more difficult. I recently did a Darth Vader drawing about a month or 2 ago. Whenever I draw like Batman, anything that's black and it has like a lot of light on it, it's difficult because there are like really dark parts and then there are lighter parts, but they're still like black. So you basically got to blend all that together, and it takes a lot of time. And what's different about this one is after I shade it, because when I'm drawing these live action Sonic characters, first I do the shading and then I add the fur, and this time it's black. So like you'll see when I get to the shading part, but I had to draw like some green parts, like where there was a lot of light on it. separating different pieces of fur. I had to draw like small slits and then just kind of shade around that. But we'll get to all that later in the video. Right now, I'm still just sketching stuff out in these shoes. These shoes are awesome. Okay, when you're looking at them, these shoes are awesome. They look perfect. Everything about them is super cool. When you're drawing it, you kind of resent it because there are so many little details, and I tried not to spend too much time on that part because I was gonna, draw it more on the second part. I just kind of tried to breeze through this, but in the middle of this, my hands started to hurt pretty bad, and I had to take a break because these shoes, they're kind of just draining. It's not so much like the Sonic. When I drew Sonic, his shoes are like big and red, and they have like pretty much game accurate. These are like more mechanical. They have a lot of details on it. But anyway, as you can see now, I just erased it, and now I'm going over everything I just did with a pencil, and we're filling things out. So this is gonna make it look more like one line, like in coloring books, how it is basically with no shading. This is basically what we're doing here. We're just making it look good. And as I always say, it's completely up to you if you want to actually take the extra step to shade it, because the shading is, it's gonna make it look professional. It's gonna make it look good, better. But it looks perfectly fine here. Not everyone has the patience because shading takes more time than the actual drawing itself. It's what really stretches this stuff out, because it's not just going around in lines, it's basically filling in every part of your drawing. And my drawing tutorials, they used to be much shorter. It used to, not just a tutorial, because I speed it up anyway, as you can see. It used to take much less time to draw it in itself, because I didn't used to do all this shading and stuff that I do today, and I'm getting to the shading part now. But like, I would shade just like a little part in the dark parts, but I would leave most of my picture white and just very lightly shade. But for some reason, as I got older, I didn't even notice when I started to shade in more. It just gradually happened, and before I knew it, gone were the days of where I could just sit down and draw a picture in like 40 minutes. Now I'm taking like several hours. I drew this Darth Vader picture. It took me 6 hours and 25 minutes to draw it. This picture right here, it took me over 2 hours to draw this picture. I believe when I drew the Sonic picture a long time ago, I'm not even gonna try to remember, but I recently did like a 4 picture. I drew like 4 different versions of Sonic: classic Sonic, Sonic Boom, Sonic X, and live action Sonic, all on one page. And I did like the 4 boxes in which I drew them, and that didn't take long at all. Partly because I was drawing it a lot smaller for the boxes. But yeah, again, this is more complicated. You can see how I have to go between dark and light, and how I had to like draw those little slits and go around it. Of course, in the end, when you look back on it, it's very worth it. It's just the shading part in itself that takes a lot of energy, and not everyone has the patience. Don't feel bad at all if you can't shade it, or if you don't have the patience to shade it, because it's natural. Me personally, when I look at my pictures, if it's not shaded or colored or something, it's just not complete, in my opinion. I like making my drawings look realistic, as realistic as possible, or as good as I possibly can. But here we're just gonna go all over the body, and as you'll have to see, this is another challenge of drawing characters that are black. They have the color black and have a lot of light on them. There are parts I was grateful for, like that most of the body here is dark black. You see I'm just shading all of that in. It's trying to figure out how light to go around it. You can see the reference photo next to me was basically my guide, but you basically have to go around it, and you can see after I shade it, I put the fur on it, which is basically the lines as needed. Some areas didn't require much because I try to make my drawings look as accurate as possible. So I only did what was necessary, and whatever else wasn't, like the really dark parts, they didn't need fur. And that's the difference between this and the Sonic drawings, because the Sonic, he's lighter and you can see, so that requires fur all over. Yeah, this shoe, the shoe I had to basically fill in the parts, the dark parts, and basically I was grateful that most of the shoe was white because, well, much less shading, just the surrounding little pieces on it and the rings. And basically I just had to shade this in, and after that I was basically done. So I'm just gonna finish the shoe, and here is the finished product. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Have a great day.